Victor Wembanyama is not human. I know people say that about every great player, but I genuinely mean it this time. Coaches are saying it, players are saying it, the advanced metrics are saying it. And when you actually sit down and look at what this young phenom has already done in the NBA, the word that keeps coming back is not talented or promising or special. The word is unprecedented, because that is literally what it is. The hype that was actually understated. Every few years, the NBA convinces itself it has found the next generational player. LeBron James in high school was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with the words "The Chosen One" before he played a single NBA minute. Zion Williamson was selling out college arenas. Anthony Davis walked into the draft as a guaranteed franchise cornerstone. Victor Wembanyama had all of that energy around him before he even entered the draft, except the scouts who watched him play were not just calling him a great prospect, they were calling him the greatest prospect in NBA draft history. And for once, that was not hyperbole, that was just an accurate description. Here is what made him different from the very beginning. He is 7'4" with a nearly 8-foot wingspan. He can take pull-up threes, he can handle the ball and bring it up the floor, he can block shots at the rim without jumping, he can switch onto guards on the perimeter and stay in front of them. That combination of size, skill, and mobility had simply never existed in one player before. Scouts had been tracking him since he was 15. By the time he was 18, he was already playing in the EuroLeague, one of the second best competition in the world behind the NBA. And even though his raw numbers were modest, the context explained everything. He was playing 18 minutes a night. Adjusted to starter minutes, his production projected to around 18 points, 10 rebounds, and over 3 blocks per game. As a teenager, in the second best league on earth. When he dominated the U19 World Cup, including an 8-block game against Team USA, Kevin Durant said the league was in trouble. Giannis said he had never seen anything like him. LeBron called him an alien.
Unsuccessful that trip. Demahi Balu gets inside, missed, and then Wembanyama.
These are not noob takes from people who get excited easily. These are the best players on the planet looking at a teenager and choosing the word alien. Rookie year, rewriting the record books. The San Antonio Spurs won the draft lottery, and with it the right to select Wembanyama first overall in 2023. This was a franchise that had already watched 2 #1 picks, David Robinson and Tim Duncan, turn into all-time greats. The history was right there, but the NBA does not care about history or hype. It is faster and harder than any other environment these players have ever been in. Even the most gifted prospects in the world usually need time to look comfortable. Wembanyama's debut against Dallas was solid, but not spectacular. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. You could feel the media preparing that he needs time to adjust narrative in real time. Then a week later, he dropped 38 points and 10 rebounds against Phoenix and became one of only 3 teenagers in NBA history to put up a 35-point, 10-rebound multi-block game. The other 2 were LeBron James and Kevin Durant. The adjustment period was apparently over. A few nights after that, he had 8 blocks against the Grizzlies, something only Robinson and Duncan had ever done as Spurs rookies. In December, he put up 21 points and 20 rebounds against the Bulls and became the youngest player in NBA history to record a 20-20 game. The records were not just falling, they were getting demolished. By the halfway point of the season, he was averaging over 20 points per game, around 10 rebounds, and more than 3 blocks a night. He had a triple-double with blocks. He put up back-to-back games with at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks, something no rookie had ever done. In March, he dropped 40 points, 20 rebounds, and 7 assists in a single game against the Knicks. Against the Knicks specifically, in Madison Square Garden. Just casually, by the end of the season, he had become the first player in NBA history, not the first rookie, the first player ever, to finish a season with 500 plus points, 250 plus blocks, and 100 plus made threes in the same year. He won Rookie of the Year unanimously, made all defensive first team, finished second in Defensive Player of the Year, voting as a 19-year-old. The Spurs only won 22 games that season, but the conversation around Wembanyama had completely changed. The question at the start of the year was whether he could handle the NBA. By the end, the question was how long before the rest of the league has to deal with this every single night. Year 2 and the scouting reports did nothing. Coming into his second season, teams had watched the film. They had their adjustments ready. They doubled him earlier. They dropped him in the post. They tried to force him into jumpers and make him uncomfortable. For a few weeks, it actually looked like the preparation might work. Then on Halloween, he recorded his second career. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks. Only 2 players in NBA history had ever done that multiple times before him. Hakeem Olajuwon and Andrei Kirilenko. The scouting report adjustments lasted about 3 weeks. A few games later, he had 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 blocks against the Clippers. In mid-November, he dropped 50 points against Washington, hitting 8 threes. In December against Portland, he had 30 points and 10 blocks in the same game. Youngest player ever to reach that combination in a single game. He also became the first player in league history to hit 4 threes and block 10 shots in the same game. On Christmas Day against the Knicks, he put up 42 points and 18 rebounds.
defensive end is just a show with his rejections. Wemby dumps it down, Sohan.
And defensively, the numbers were becoming genuinely frightening. 9% when Wembanyama contested them at the rim. Guards were hesitating before they got to the paint. Bigs were rushing their finishes. Some possessions were ending with opposing players literally turning around and going back to the three-point line rather than attacking the basket. When he was on the court, the Spurs played like a playoff team. When he sat down, they looked like one of the worst teams in the league. One player changing the entire defensive profile of a franchise that dramatically is something you usually cannot measure statistically. But in this case, you absolutely could. Then in February, the season ended early. Doctors discovered a blood clot in his shoulder, and the Spurs shut him down after just 46 games. The year was cut short, and if you needed any evidence of just how locked in the basketball world already was on this guy, even that did not slow the hype. If anything, it made people more anxious to see what year 3 looked like. Year 3, the Spurs stopped rebuilding and start winning. Heading into his third season, everything around Wembanyama changed. San Antonio was no longer just running development lineups around him. They had De'Aaron Fox adding speed and shot creation, Stephen Castle and Dylan Harper giving them size and playmaking in the backcourt, Devin Vassell as a reliable scorer. Instead of asking Wemby to do everything on a roster full of guys learning how to play in the league, they started putting him in positions where he could actually control a game.
Martin misses the three. Champagny secures it. 2-for-1.
He also spent 10 days before the season studying martial arts at the Shaolin Monastery in China, working specifically on balance, flexibility, and body control, which is the most Victor Wembanyama sentence I have ever typed. A 7'4" NBA player going to a Shaolin monastery in the offseason to work on body control. And then it showed up on the court immediately. Opening night against the Mavericks, he dropped 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks. The most points ever scored in a season opener in Spurs franchise history, a record that had stood since George Gervin. Then a few weeks into the season, he put together a stat line that nobody in NBA history had ever recorded. 35 plus points, 10 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists, 5 plus blocks, and 5 made threes in the same game. Not in the same season, the same game. The scary part was that it had genuinely stopped feeling surprising. He had multiple 40-point games. He had a game where he scored 37 points in under 30 actual minutes on the floor. The efficiency was reaching levels that are almost impossible to process. And defensively, he was being called the most dominant defensive player some analysts had ever watched, covering guards on the perimeter, anchoring the rim, contesting threes, all in the same possession. There is no statistical system that fully captures what he does on defense, because the system was not built for a player like him. The shot that changed everything late in the season against the Phoenix Suns. Tight game, sellout crowd, Spurs down by 1, under 11 seconds left. San Antonio cleared the side and let Wembanyama go one-on-one, one dribble, fadeaway jumper, 1 second left on the clock, it went in. 34 points and 12 rebounds in that game, and more importantly, the Spurs had clinched their first playoff berth in 6 years. The longest drought in franchise history was over. After the game, Wembanyama explained the decision to shoot it so late with the kind of tactical clarity you expect from a 12-year veteran managing a close game, not a 21-year-old in his third season.
So what's going through your head as that clock's scrolling down?
Get the ball to the basket.
He wanted to give his team a chance at an offensive rebound if he missed, and take away any chance for the Suns to respond if he made it. The Spurs had gone 20-2 since February, one of the best stretches in the entire league. The rebuild did not look like a rebuild anymore. It looked like a team that had found something genuinely special and was just getting started. The history of hype and why this one is different here is the part that actually matters, and it requires being honest about how often this goes wrong. Since 2000, a small group of players have entered the NBA with generational hype, and almost every single one of those stories took a turn nobody predicted. Scouts called him the best center prospect since Tim Duncan. Injuries limited him to 105 career games. The whole thing is genuinely sad. When he is healthy, he is absolutely dominant, but injuries and conditioning issues have made his career a perpetual what-if conversation. Then an ACL tear in 2012 fundamentally changed the trajectory of everything. Andrew Wiggins was called the next LeBron before he played a single college game. He became an all-star and won a championship. That is objectively a great career, but when the expectations start at all-time great, a great career can somehow feel like falling short. That is deeply unfair, but that is the reality of entering the league with that kind of weight on you. There is really only one modern example where the hype was this enormous and the player actually cleared it entirely. LeBron James, the chosen one cover, high school games on national TV, 4 MVPs, multiple championships, all-time leading scorer, 20 plus years of dominance. The hype was not big enough. And the reason Victor Wembanyama is so genuinely insane to think about is that his first 3 seasons track most closely to LeBron's. Not to Odin or Zion or Rose. To the guy with an argument for being the greatest player in the history of the sport. What comes next? He is 21 years old. He is barely over 100 NBA games into his career. He is still adding strength, still learning angles, still figuring out how to use what he has in the most efficient ways possible. The roster around him is not finished. San Antonio has kept their draft flexibility, developed their young core, and added veterans who complement his game rather than get in the way of it. The foundation is real and it is still being built. Wembanyama contests more than 8 shots at the rim per game. He leads the entire league in blocks. He leads the league in blocks on shots 10 feet in the air, meaning he is getting to shots that other defenders cannot physically reach. When he is on the floor, opponents take about 45 shots per 100 possessions in the paint. When he sits, that number jumps to over 52. He wins over 80% of his jump balls, the best mark in the league by a significant margin. He is blocking shots with either hand. He is switching onto guards and staying in front of them. That combination did not exist 10 years ago. It barely exists now. And the player doing all of it is 21 and apparently getting better. MVPs and championships and dynasty conversations are all ahead of him if the health holds. And if this is what the beginning looks like, if these first 3 seasons are the introduction and not the main event, then the rest of the league might be dealing with Victor Wembanyama for the next 15 to 20 years. That is not a comfortable thought if you are anyone other than a Spurs fan. If you liked watching this, drop a like and let me know in the comments. Is Wembanyama already the most talented player in the NBA, or do you think we are still waiting for the real peak? Because personally, I am not sure there is a ceiling here at all.